I'm Alyssa Tidwell, and today I'm going to be talking to you about narcissism. Narcissism is a complex psychological disorder that has many effects on the people that have this condition. But to really understand narcissism and the adverse effects that it has on these people with this condition, you have to know exactly what narcissism is. As described by the DSM, or the Manual of Mental Disorders, narcissistic personality disorder is a condition in which people have an excessive sense of self-importance, an extreme preoccupation with themselves, and a lack of sympathy for others. This falls under the category of borderline personality disorder. This wasn't something I knew very much about, and I thought it seemed interesting, so I went ahead and delved in a little bit deeper. I found that the exact meaning of narcissism hasn't changed too much over time, and yet it's a very new addition to the DSM. It first entered the DSM in 1980, but it was observed in psychiatry at least 100 years prior. It was first coined by Freud, who believed that narcissism was part of every child that was born, and as the child got older and wanted to integrate into society, they would sacrifice their own needs to be an integral part of society. If there was a problem with this separation, pathological narcissism was a result. He also found that we all need some certain level of narcissism in order to be a part of the society, but it was only those with a great heart, with a huge amount of narcissism, that had problems. Since that time, not too much has changed about narcissism except for mainly the symptoms and how we diagnose them. Some of the symptoms include a sense of self-importance, preoccupations with fantasies of love, power, success. They believe that they are special and that they should only associate with others who are just as special as them. They require excessive amounts of admiration, and they have a sense of entitlement. They exploit other people, and they lack empathy. They are envious of others deep down within, but they would never admit that to other people. And they show this arrogant and haughty behavior. Now, in order to be diagnosed, you must have at least 5 of these symptoms, and they must cause significant impairment in your life. Unfortunately, this condition causes a great deal of complications for the people that have it, and not a lot of people actually get diagnosed with this until much later in life. Some complications that they have include really unsuccessful relationships. They start out with fits of jealousy. You come home 5 minutes late and automatically they assume you're having an affair. Now, these can lead to fits of rage. And with these fits of rage, it's very easy to see how a relationship will decay to a point of no longer existing. They're very high achievers at work, but they have a lot of problems with their coworkers. They alienate themselves with this sense of superiority, and they think that they're just amazing. They downplay the role that their coworkers play, and whenever a coworker gets recognized, they have a feeling of injustice, as if their part wasn't recognized enough. This can lead to inability to accept criticism. It's very hard to criticize these people when they think that they are basically perfect. There's also a hyperactive amount of socializing, nonstop clubbing, extravagant gift giving, and they have nearly reckless, almost suicidal behavior sometimes, to a point where it's extremely dangerous for them. They respond to social failure by withdrawing and sometimes even going into a deep depression. Because of these complications, it can be extremely hard to get them treatment, but it's extremely important. Treatments include a weekly meeting with a psychotherapist or a research study in which nonprofit organizations or universities will come in and speak with them and help them through this. They've recently found that these group therapy settings help them become self-sufficient members of society. In conclusion, narcissism is an extremely complex psychological problem, and yet they seem to live very normal lives. But a lot of times they feel very empty and their lives are devoid of meaning. Luckily, only 1% of the population has this problem, but for that 1%, it's extremely imperative that they get the help that they need, because it's better for those who are diagnosed to get help than it is to avoid it, so that they can be very productive members of society.